which was unheard of at the time because usually the wealthy class wanted to separate themselves from poor people.
Ew.
There was one example of a countess who actually lived only one floor above a fishmonger, which I feel like that's
God forbid!
I feel like that's how Trey's Songz friends describe me. It's like the countess lives above a fishmonger. You know?
But imagine if they fell in love.
But imagine if I just wrote one extra note about how concerned I am.
Just imagine how romantic the fishmonger and the countess. That sounds like children's fairy tale.
It sounds like the first draft of Shrek, like a fishmonger and the countess.
It sounds like the random creepy German fairy tale that Shrek was based on that they had to make child friendly.
Yeah. Certainly sounds like a Grimm Brothers situation.
Yes, it does.
Brothers Grimm. So anyway, usually the wealthy would be separate from the middle class and lower class, but that wasn't the case right away. Eventually, they ended up actually saying we can't tolerate these plebes, so we're gonna make our own town, and we're gonna call it Newtown. Go figure. Original.
Oh my god! At least come up with something creative. That kills me.
All the money in the world, you can't pay a writer to give you an idea
None of you
about
have
a name.
a little spark of creativity.
Nope. So anyway, while they're still living in Old Town, the wealthy tried to separate themselves the best they could, but they really didn't have many options. So eventually they tried to make gated neighborhoods, but the neighborhoods were all on top of each other. So the gates were, they essentially put doors on some of these alleys and closed off access to them at night, so only the wealthy could use them.
Fucked up. They're
So not only
it's like a modern security gate at a cul-de-sac, but
it's literally just like a wooden door with a latch, and they said, "I have the key." Yeah,
they just decided. Cool.
And so they pretty much closed off these narrow streets. Which, let me remind you again, these are really limited, pathways to get through. So you're blocking off access to people's homes. I imagine. You're making it difficult.
Right.
So these gated narrow streets ended up being called closes. So when it's Mary King's Close, that's what close is.
Oh, I see. Okay. Gotcha.
Because I never knew. I literally thought this whole time it was like a closet or something.
You're like, oh, looks like a
I was like, wow, didn't know Sersha was such a dummy forgetting to just put a T. But I've never known what a close was. I've never heard of that.
I really didn't either, to be honest.
It's one of those words where you hear it and you can kind of smile and nod through it, but you really...
Yeah, I feel like if someone said, oh, a close, I'd be like, yeah. And then they'd be like, describe it. And I'd be like, hey, what's that over there?
I'd be like, honestly, that's a fucking rude question.
Yeah, why don't you explain it, smartass?
Exactly. Yeah, I had no idea. I always thought a close in my mind surely was like a hill or something. I didn't know. So anyway.
And then I would have said, no, you explained it. You would have said a hill, and I would have said, yep, that's what it is, a hill. And then we would have just believed that for the rest of our fucking lives. So it feels like feels a little bit.
I feel like you could ask. What you should have said is the pun version. You should have gone, "You're close."
You're close. Does that count? No. Okay.
So anyway, man, you really got me good there. So these gated narrow streets are called closes, and into these closes, which it's so wild to think of that this is what the upper class was doing, and they thought they were so much fucking higher and mightier than everybody else. They would dump their chamber pots from their windows into the closes.
What a fucker. I knew they would do something like this. I mean, imagine the countess's shit just sitting on your head all long day of mongering fish.
It's like I'm already a fishmonger, and now I'm the poopmonger, So.
Right. Thanks a lot, I was gonna fall in love with you too, countess.
I was this close until you showed me too much too soon. So.
Yeah, we got too much.
So, obviously, one of the first problems that people noticed as all the wealthy people, and I think probably, honestly, all the people, if the rich didn't have toilets, I don't think everyone else had toilets either. I think everyone was just throwing their chamber pots into the streets at night. And the streets didn't have drains. They didn't have any street cleaning. There was no sanitation laws back then. Service that was out. So there was waste upon waste upon waste. And keep in mind, this is a whole town within a literal confined area. So very quickly it adds up.
Ooh,
So
there's like
think
nowhere
of-
for it to go.
Think of everyone in a 10-story apartment building throwing their poop out the window. That's day one. It's a mess. Day one. Let alone
Day
no
one is
one's
a
ever
mess.
coming to clean it.
Yeah. And then just
So the waste over time, and I'm assuming very quickly, began to clog the pathways. So now what? Like, you thought
Now
you were
what? Now
fancy
what?
with your little gated door, and now you gotta walk through poop. So good luck. At the same time, we talked about this in the past, but in this area, the cemetery had become overcrowded, and when it became overcrowded, they started burying the bodies even shallower on top of the bodies that are buried deeper. And so there were shallow bodies and shallow graves in an overcrowded cemetery. And the smell, because they weren't buried far enough, would start to waft out of the graveyard. And on windy days where a whole town made out of alleys that are just like wind, like, you know what I mean? Like they're just
Yeah.
just
They're like
I don't know
wind
what the right word
tunnels.
is. Wind tunnels, yes. So now you've got the cemetery with like the smell of corpses just blowing through the entire town nonstop, and you've got the smell of everybody's poop on the street blowing through on top of that.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised anyone fell in love back then. Like, this sounds like the least romantic. Like, I don't know, I'm just keep thinking, like, what if you fell in love with the count? Like, you couldn't. You just be like fucking grossed out all the time.
I literally like I have thought about that too. I was watching I don't know, like a Bridgerton or something like that. And just like just in the amount of clothes they would make people wear on a summer day, and then you are expected to like go bang it out together, like that doesn't.
Yeah, with no AC. I mean, you know, like I
no
understand
showers.
that that's
Sometimes
what they
a
had
shower.
to work with, but like, you know, I'm like, it just seems.
It's amazing that the population is what it is today. When like, well, I guess there wasn't any birth control, but I'm amazed people were getting naked with each other. Like there shouldn't be this many people today, but somehow they just
feels
kept
like
popping kids out.
You wouldn't be like, you'd be like, not today, you know?
Not
I feel
even.
like I'd be like, ugh.
I don't. Maybe I've just got too many sensory issues or something, or I just like the idea of being sweaty. First of all, in any context, no, but also like underneath that many clothes, and then putting my hot sweaty body on someone else's hot sweaty body after they've been in that many clothes, and it's 100 degrees outside. Are you fucking kidding me? Absolutely not.
I almost think I'd be less like worried about what other people smell like, and just be like constantly, like paranoid that I smell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think